Hello! So, another live coding stream tonight. So, it will be a bit special because there was a revision 1 week ago, and that was a very great time. The stream is was mainly to prepare for the revisions for the showdown, and it was super great. And plus, I won the showdown. So tonight we will do probably try to do the 3 shaders that I did in each round of the showdown. And maybe if we have time, we will also look at my folky intro that I presented at revision, and that won the 3rd place. So feel free to ask questions. I will just start making the first shaders. Hi, XJ Cox and Totted Mats. How are you? So the first shadows I made in the first round, it was the shader I was most confident in because it was with the translucency. I knew it had like some kind of wow effect, a bit impressive, and it was not very difficult shader, except for the translucency part. So I will try to replicate it. It will not be exactly the same because it's always a bit different, and I don't quite remember what I had time to put in during revision. Anyway. Hi Defty, how are you? So I always start just by making a bow. The goal is to be sure that everything is working. Thank you, XJ. So the starting position and the array direction. So that's the simplest way I know to, I find, to make a simple remashing, and you can improve on it later. So the first step is just to do something like that. This takes a bit over 2 minutes if you know it. So now the color. So this part is just the remarching loop. Now I will compute the normal. With light direction, I don't remember what I put, probably something like that. I try to put a different value on each axis so that if you make a box oriented on the axis, you don't have the same value on each side. Okay, so there I have a bow. So what I did, during the revision rounds, I wanted to make something progressive, so people had things to watch at each time. So that's the first step. Then I put boxes. So the formula for boxes, this is a simplified formula, but it works pretty well and fast. So yeah, there I have a box. Now I need to make it rotate. So something like that. Okay. I don't think I did that. I did more likely did directly 5 or 6 iterations. Let's see with 5. So this is some kind of fractal thingy. You have like a distance, and you do rotation on 2 axes. So what I sometimes do is to have one value and use the same value but with a factor on the second time, so that it rotates in the 3 direction. After that you can do an absolute value and subtract the size and change the size each time, like something like that. Let's see. Okay, so that's the kind of thing I had. I think I only did it on the X and Y or X and Z. I don't quite remember. What I did, I think, is just not animating the scene, but just making a camera. So for the camera, what I often do if I don't need a complicated motion is just doing something like that. Yeah, I just do that, and I can apply it to the starting position and to the right direction, and there I have it. So yeah. Now what after that, I wanted it to be static and add the translucency bit. So you will see that it's really not that hard. Hi Alkama, hi Aptix. So I had a side value that will represent if you are outside or inside the surface. The important thing is that everything, maybe I put everything directly inside, but you have to put the whole thing inside the computation, because you want to do it each time you found a surface. So this is this means that you found a surface. So each time you find a surface, you will add the color, you will add the influence, and you will switch side like that, and you will also go a bit ahead because you are very close to the surface. You want to go you want to advance a little bit. So here we have it, the basic reflection. You can do something like that so that it's not too bright. Once you have that, you can also try to do an attenuation. Each time you meet a surface, you will be a bit darker, like that. And you can also add, I don't know where I should put it, but yeah, a refraction. So you use the ray direction, the normal, and you use something like that. I'm never sure if it's minus or plus. I'm really not sure. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Let's it add something, I think. After that, I think I started to put time. What I wanted to do at this time was something really slow, so that you can see the refraction, sorry, very nicely. It's a bit strong, maybe. I don't know. Thank you, Haptics. So the next step, I will put the camera a bit away. The next step was to add cylinder. So what I did, I want to have the cylinder on some kind, I mean, I don't want it to be exactly like the cube, so what I did is just here, I think. I computed the length. And there. Yeah. So that's making like more lines than there are cubes. And now what I want to do is to color the line in like a metal, like gold. So that can be very simple. You just add a global variable. Hi, but just how are you? And I will see if one is superior. So if the cylinder, the distance to the cylinder is inferior to the box, that means that we are on the cylinder. So when we put 1 or 0 in the mat, what I often do is to copy it there, because this call will also override the value of mat, but I don't think it's too important. So now I can break like that, and now you see that we have no translucency on the cylinders. We can also compute like a half normal. I think I computed the spec function like that. And a diffuse. Well, I don't know if it's really a diffuse, but to color the thing, like something like that maybe, and use the material. There. So there we have a yellow, but if you look color, you can see that you can't see the cylinder inside the surface. That's because it's just a distance field, and I'm just making an union of the two. So once it's entered the boxes, it doesn't know that where are the cylinders. So to fix that, you can simply here use a max to subtract the how does it work already? So what you want to do is to carve inside. You see there, I carve inside, the cylinder are carving inside the boxes, but I want to do it just with a very small amount, and there we can see the cylinder inside the surface. Yeah, Alkama was doing the music during this round, I think. So and I think I put a second one, very bright, maybe with a power there. What I can do here is to change the size of the boxes. Yeah. I'm a bit surprised because it's a lot too dark inside. I don't know why. Yes, Sorrento, I'm French. The software is Bonzomatic. You can find it on GitHub, like Alkama put the link. Yeah, Shadowtoy is a good place to learn. I don't really know why I lose everything inside. That's not normal. Probably put that to the wrong position, maybe? No? That's really strange. I'm glad I didn't have that problem. Suppose it's that, no? What am I doing wrong here? Maybe just that? What I mean is that I should there's something really wrong, but I don't know what it is. Oh, I know. That's a silly mistake, yeah. So the normal, when you exit the plane, you have to, when you are inside and you exit, the normal you get from the map function is inverted, so you want to invert it as well. Sorry. So now I should be able to come back to something a bit better. Now you can see inside, and you can, I will just use that. Still not sure. Anyway, once you have that working, you can start playing with that. And what I wanted to do also is to limit so that the cylinder doesn't go too far. I don't know if I made them, well, we'll see. There we go. I think I made them pointy. Maybe not that good use of my time, but because you have to do that in 25 minutes, so each minute counts. But I was really lucky, I didn't have any major mistake, like things that I couldn't understand. So there with the F9, I can make them pointy. That's a bit more interesting. Now what I wanted to add is some kind of atmospheric, because it's on a black background and it's not that great. Oh, by the way, yeah, what I'm often doing is inverting the light if it's on the wrong side, because there I only have one light and the camera is rotating, and sometimes you are against the light and you don't see it. So what I do is I find out if the light is on the opposite side, and if it sees, I'm inverted it. So like if, yeah, you can see it there. So whatever your camera angle, you will always have the light on the correct side. Anyway, so now I want an attenuation, an atmospheric, sorry. So the simplest thing I did and I think I did it on each round, is to accumulate the value each time that depends on the distance. So to do that, you can do something like that. That I found, I didn't really understand that kind of code before revision, but at revision I made some tests, and often I was doing something like that, but that's not great because it becomes infinite when you approach the surface. But if you do something like that, it will approach 1 instead, so that's much better. Yeah, that's what Serento. The idea here is to use ray marching. It's a special technique. It's a bit like ray tracing, but it's more flexible on the kind of thing you can ray trace. The idea is very simple. In the theory, it's just to have a function that give you, if you give him a point in space, he give you the distance to the closest function, to the closest surface. Yeah. So, for example, if you have like a sphere, it will give you the distance to the surface of the sphere, and that's very simple to compute. It's just the distance to the center minus the radius. So you have a little function like that give you distances, and you can combine them. And once you have that function, the main algorithm is very simple. It's just doing a loop. You start from the origin of the camera, and for each pixel you go along the ray, and each time you ask what is the closest surface at this point, and you advance the ray by this distance because you know there is nothing to get. So each time it will get closer to the surface, and when you have a distance that is very close, you consider you have hit a surface. So let's go back. Here I have my atmospheric, and I can now add that atmospheric, and you see it's glowing a lot. The first thing you can do here is to make make a color with a different value on each channel, and that will tint the atmospheric, because each of these values, each of these channel will saturate to white at a different rate, so it will give that nice fading. Now it's a lot too bright, of course, and you can lower it. So by adjusting this value with the power and the value here, you can like making more or less large. What you can do also is to multiply by the product value, that the fading, like the alpha, that I was computing, so that it's less strong when it goes through a translucent surface. Yeah, it's so great, and it doesn't really like cost much. I don't quite remember what color I used. I think I also added, let's remove the atmospheric ornament. I think I also added some Fresnel. So the way I compute the Fresnel, it's just that. Something like that. So there I add like reflection thing when the surface is tangent to the right direction. I can like use the color. I think I put some kind of blue. Yeah. Yeah. So one of the hard things for me here was to add like when I add the atmosphere, it kinda watch everything. So you have to find good values that give you a nice a nice effect, but doesn't brighten too much the central piece. So for the variation, I did replace my color. I wonder where I was computing that. I think I computed it here. Let's see. So I had two colors. Something like that. And I used just the right direction on the z-axis maybe to make them. There you have it. If you are aligned with z direction, you have blue, and if you are aligned with the other direction, you have the yellow. I may not find exactly the same. I will not find exactly the same colors and balance on at revision. Yeah, it can be a bit hard to Also what I did, I think I had too many cylinder, and I added something like that to reduce the number. It's a bit ugly, but now the last important pieces was to add a better motion. So I used a function I often use that I invented a while ago. So it starts with a random function, so you give it a value and it will try to give you another value back that is pseudo-random. And here I have my curve function. So you give it time and like a period, and it will give you at each period it will give you another random value, but it will interpolate from one to another. So that's the code. Yeah, this function is very great. You can change the power. I can show you maybe I can show you what it does. Yeah. So there you can see. There you go. Oh, I probably missed something. Yeah. Okay. So there you have it. There is at each period it chooses value. It then do a smooth step so that you have a nice smooth thing, and then you can choose to make it more brutal, but yeah, more harsh. So that's usually what I choose. And with that in mind, I can start, for example, I think what I did is to put something like that. Like if I put the 0.1, it's each 1/10 of a second. And now you can just put it here. And there you have it. You can also put it here. And you can like try to find the frequency you want, and here I have offset each frequency so that it doesn't happen. You can also add something like that. But I think I like it like then So there I just add that function a bit everywhere, like in the can add it in the FOV function, the FOV. I think it's probably a bit too bright. Oh, I probably also put like a vignetting function. Well, that's a bit better. And the last thing I can do, I don't remember if I did it during the revision shader. Is to offset the UV at the beginning. That way the structure is not always centered. That's better. And I think that's it. It took a bit more time than I wanted, but yeah, I was talking. So I don't know if anybody have question. If not, I can go to the second one. I'm starting to get a bit sore on the... Yeah, I talk probably too much. Yeah, I think for the second one, I tried to reproduce it before, so I can show you what I reproduced. So anyway, that's one shader. The first round. And I will change, I will load something I made for the second one. So it's not the same shader that was at revision because I didn't get it from yeah, shadows can work in VR, yeah, but it's the ray matching is a bit GPU sensitive. It's very harsh, and it asks for a lot of performance. So in VR you have usually a great, a big resolution for each eye, and you need a good frame rate, so it may not be the best. So that's something I try to reproduce for the showdown. That's the second one. So I can explain a little bit how it works, but start to get tired, I'm sorry. What I didn't do here is to make the sky change, the color of the sky. What I did during the revision, it's kinda at the end I wanted to add something and I didn't have any idea. So what I did is just rotating the color. Like that. Got slower. I did something like that. It's a bit a cheap way, but pretty effective. And you can of course put the So I will explain just a little bit of this shader. The idea is to do the remarching like a classic remarcher, but I added a second part that is some kind of volumetric marching. So the important difference with classic marching, I think that doesn't do anything. Yeah. I put some things that are not useful, but the idea is that you will step with a fixed amount at each time. Instead of marching by the distance, you know, there is no surface, you march a fixed distance, and that's useful to have a good volumetric, because you want to know the color of the volumetric along the ray, not just near the surface. So here I do a second loop with a 50 try, and I will accumulate a value. That value is also put on the ground. Here it is. And that value is basically two textures that are wrapping each other. One is morphing the other. Maybe I could show it. Let's just show that. Okay, there. So that's the texture that is projected on the sky. And what I do is that here I have the position along the ray, and this is made to project it on the ground, on the top, on the sky, more like the sky, yeah. So the important thing is to what I did is that the sky, the planet sky, is exactly at 0 in elevation, in height. That makes this a lot simpler. But you could also have a fixed size, and this will just make that a little more complex. But to project the position on the plane, on the 0 plane, on Y. You just have to, like, you have the light direction, and what you do is you take the Y difference from your position to the ground, to the sky, and you divide it by the light Y value, and that's a projection of the plane. Yeah. Anyway, then I compute my thing, and I add everything here. So that's this effect. For the ground, so for the ground, I started with just like a kind of mountain, and I put like a fractal thing, but this time, so it's the same kind of code that the other time, but that time I only rotate it on the XZ axis, so it's just rotating in fact on the Y axis, and with repetition, symmetries that gives this kind of looks. And the thing is, here you have, I find it a bit dull. You can see the signal pretty easily, and it's a bit too too clean. So what I did is to add here on the right you can see that you have textures, and I used the text noise texture here to slightly change the height of the surface plane, and that gives this little mountain on the ground, and that also makes the web thingy a lot less rigid, a lot less you don't understand the shape as much, so I think he added a lot. Anyway, yeah, I think that's about all I had for the second shader. If you have any question, let me know. If not, I will quickly go through the last shaders. Yes, let's do that. So once again, it's a recreation of the shader. It's not the one I did on the showdown, because I think I will be able to get them back at one point. But right now, I don't have it. So oh, you wanted on the previously? I can show you quickly. Oh, sorry. Kinda cut the music here. Yeah, I can show you. I think what I will do is to slow down the time so I can see what I do a bit better. Like that. Also, I will, yeah. So that's the scene in, without all the effects. So the mountain is here. So if I do just that, I have a flat plane. Just the distance to the ground, and it gives you a flat plane. But what I can do is to like take the length to the center, and with all that I can like find a good amount. If you make it a bit too strong, you will have artifact like that. But if you find a correct amount, you will have a mountain, but not too much artifact. Then for the lines that you can see here, it's two things. It's just the same kind of fractal thing, but it's 2D, so that's here, that's, oh, yeah. Should probably explain that. Not sure how. Let's try that. Just a distance. So here I have my thing. So the principle here is to have to make several how should I say that? To make several rotation successively, and each time you do symmetry. So each symmetry will basically like double the amount of light, or even quadruple, I think, because it's at the two axes, the x-axis and the z-axis. So that's what I have. But the interesting thing is, instead of using that just to make repetition of an object, what I'm interested in is to get the distance to the plane of symmetry. So here I do my rotations, here I do my symmetries, and here I compute the minimal distance to each of the two axes. So that's giving me those like distance to each plane. And once I have that, I can make it in the form of a cylinder. By using the F value from the first thing, I can displace it. Not sure I'm very clear, but once you have that distance, it gives you like one axis, and you have to have another, and that's here. I can do like that if I want. Like there I have just the distance to the y-plane on the other axis, so it gives me cylinders. But if I want to make it follow the mountain, I can just use the height of the mountains that I was using. Then once you have those little cylinders, the other thing to do is to have, that's something that I found that Floppin explained to me. You can have other global variables, and you will just add to that variable, you will add the distance to those lines. Instead of just like before, we were like accumulating the distance to the whole distance field. You can just use one part. So here I just use k and not d. I use the key part, the distance to the little cylinder. Yeah. And I add it to the atmospheric functions, to the add value, and later I can add that. So it's the same kind of formula that in the previous round, just with this value you can get something very bright or not. And you will have a glow effect, but only on the lines. That's about it. So here is also a recreation of the third shadow, the final round. So I didn't have much time to think about a shader for this one. I had like 2 hours between the two rounds. So what I imagined was some kind of effect that is like similar to the demo I made, the 4K I made. So I will like remove some effects to show you how it started. Well, where am I? So I'm removing some things that don't really add much. But there, that's about okay, so that's what I started with, something like that. I started with just a box. Even the AO was not there. It's a bit. So what is my FOV there? Yeah. So I started with just a box, and what I did is to add another box, but with a rotation. So I found a way to just make it iteratively, just rotating each time. So there I make it a bit, I raise it a little bit, like that, rotating it on the two axes, and adding another box on top. So I put all that in a function, and then I could call the function several times, like putting a second one with a rotation. That is not the same. Something like that. And here I also found something I never really thought about before, but you can just, before sending, here I have the exact same boxes, but you can divide the position by a factor, and then before you call the function, and after you get the function, you can multiply by the same factor, and you get a proper distance field, but with a scaled function. If you don't do that, you will have probably artifacts. Here I don't see. Doesn't really change much, but it's better. So I added a box. And I also added a second box. On top of it, just to have something a bit more complex. Yeah. So once you have that, once I add that, I wanted to make the same, like, fractal things that I did on several rounds. So there you just have to find the correct distance to have like symmetries on everything and have a little bit of space between each thing. Once I had that, the next step was to make the thing repeat on the Z direction. So the Z is a little bit twisted here because I think I put here that. So yeah, that's making everything repeat. You can like if it's too strong, it doesn't repeat fast enough, so you have to find a good value. And then the next step is to make it a cylinder. So that's this bit, so it's very simple. Just use on the x-axis, you will get like the value along the rotation. So that's by using the add10 function. Let's see it like that, and then you can like by using the different values, you can adjust how many times it repeats. Yeah. Once you have that, functional programming, I'm not really sure I know what it is. Functional programming in my mind is just like making functions that doesn't have states, and that certainly can be of interest, but I don't know. So the next thing is to make the tunnel like go sideways and up and down. To do that, I made a tunnel function that can take a position. In fact, it will just use the position Z, but it's easier to just give him the position, and will give back an offset. So the ball tunnel will go sideways like that, for example, and I just use the distance along the tunnel, use the sinus with a small value to make large deviation. And then, hello, no named, how are you? And what I do is just add the tunnel at the start of the map function, and it will give him the position, and I add to the offset to the position, so everything will be shifted. And the important thing here, the reason I'm doing that, is that I can use the tunnel function to offset the starting position and the target location of the view. And to do that, I need to shift it in the other direction. That's a bit strange, but you have to offset it in the opposite direction. If I don't do that, my camera is not at the center. I can like make it go like that. The camera is always at the center of the screen. It doesn't use the tunnel, but if the tunnel is a bit strong, the camera will go out. Here it kinda works. It's not because there, but if I put it more deviation, it doesn't work anymore. So you just have to subtract the tunnel on both the start position and the camera target. And there, the camera is always on the center of the tunnel. Here I use a modulo of the time because we can see if it sometimes it gives artifact if you just use the time, because when you get you can see it, I think. Maybe it will be more obvious when I add the lighting, but as the time is always going larger and larger, you get artifacts after a while because the camera is very far from the origin. So now I have my tunnel. I can add there it's sideways change, but I can also add up and down changes. I think my I have to adjust that. Anyway, it's good enough for the demonstration. Then after that I've started to go about the shading model and everything. So as before, I accumulate, I use, here I use distance. What I usually do is to get the distance here, just add the ray marching distance, accumulate it, and there I can compute a fog. You can see it here. Here I don't have any fog, and here I have one, so it fades in the distance. And I can also use that fog value here to add some kind of atmospheric fog. So here it's the same kind of idea than before. I have two colors. So I use fog distance with some kind of power that lets you decide how much you want, how fast you want the thing to go, and also how strong it is. So you can find a good value for you. And I also use like always, like in the previous round, I use two separate colors, and I blend them using the ray direction, the ray Z direction. So that way, if the camera and the tunnel is oriented on Z, you will have one color. I think it's the yellow thing. And if it's not, you will have the other. And you can, with the power, you can choose like how much you want from one or the other. Anyway, one important thing here is to use some kind of ambient occlusion. You can also use can tweak the light direction. I don't remember what I did on the showdown, unfortunately. So the ambient occlusion will give you a look more more contrasted, and also the object will be more grounded, because there will be a little shadow on the ground under the objects. Yeah, it's better. I also added like a Fresnel effect that add more reflection, more detail. Just little things. The other things that made good effect was like here everything is static except the camera, and what I can do is, here it's my fractal repetition. I can use like time to make it move. There it's rotating, but each part is not rotating at the same, like with the same center, so it's already giving a nice effect. But what really made it better is the tick function. So tick function is a little bit like the curve function I made in the previous round, the two previous rounds, but it's a bit simpler, and it's just you choose like a period, and it just like speed up and slow down and speed up and slow down, and that's, so the period is just there, like there it's every 2 seconds, here it's every second, here it's like every half a second. And that function is really simple. That's why I used it here, because it's simpler to add. Here I think I just experimented to see the difference. But the tick function is really simple. You give it time. So here I just divide the time if I want to slow it down, make it faster. And I use so the idea is just to separate the time in 2 parts. So the time here is just the integer part and the fractional part. That's 2 parts of the time, and if you add them together, you get the time back. Just the integer, the closest integer value, plus whatever is remainder. But what you can do here is like use a smooth step, for example, to make the fractal, the fractional part like a curve. So there you already have something that is more like you have small curves each time. And what you can do, like for the curve function, you can use power to make it more sudden. If I think if you give him a smaller than 1 value, it will like slow down and go boom and slow down. And if you give him a larger than 1 value, it will go faster, like it will accelerate faster. Like that. And the other thing that can be interesting is to offset it, to use the repetition, like the, how should I say that, the level of repetition to offset each time. So there, each part is not rotating at the same time, so you have to find like a good amount to just give him a little hint so that everything is not going exactly at the same time. Okay, that's basically it. What I did, I think probably yeah, probably added maybe a tick. Yeah, something like that. So you can also make the camera go in step, faster and slower. And I also think I probably change the FOV to make like stretching things. I don't really remember. Oh yeah, I always state a bit, but I really need to get the proper shader back. If I get the shader, I will put them on Shadow Toy. And yeah, I think that's about all. Yeah, at the end I added a little bit of like atmospheric. Yes, thank you. It's Solos. Yeah, it was really fun at Revision to see everybody, like the people that make stream of live coding shader, like Flopin, like Evil. I also saw Alkama. It was very great. Yeah, we had fun. So it's not very difficult to transfer from Bonzomatic to Shadow Toy, but it requires a bit of time because Shadow Toy is WebGL, and WebGL is a bit more restricted. Like for example, here I multiply by 6, and that will not go past Shadow Toy and WebGL. He thinks that is an integer and he doesn't like it, so you have to put a point to signal it's float, and that will do. Yeah, 6 points. So you just have to go through the whole shader and everything everywhere, like here, it will give you an error, and you have to put a point. After a while, you can like you make it like an habit. Or you didn't accept it. Yeah, the pressure can be a bit high in the Shadow Showdown. I was really nervous at first. Mainly on the first round, it was I didn't know if I would just like freeze and if I could not sync. Also, if I had trouble, a lot of people had trouble with the keyboard. That's very sad. But unfortunately, fortunately, I didn't have any trouble with my keyboard, so I was pretty calm about that. And once I was on scene and during the showdown, I was able to do what I wanted, so that's great. Yeah, so you can. There is not much difference with Shadow Toy. I wish there was like a converter. I think it's possible to make one, but I didn't find any converter. You would also have to like change that. That is not useful. The F global time is called E time in Shadow Toy, and also you would have like to change a little bit of the main function, but not much. Yeah, haptics. The nice thing is that with super bright lights on your face when you're coding, you don't really see much of the audience, so that helps to make you think about your shadow and not the people watching you. Also, you have the big screen, there is a monitor in front of you, and that also blocks a little bit of the audience, so I was able to get in my coding habits. So yeah, what I also added at the end was a little bit of the atmospheric effect, like always. So here I like in the previous round, I accumulate the distance, like inverse of the distance at each step. That make like a glow effect, and you can use like the sky value to make something like that. I don't know what is that, like there is a weird glitch. Never saw a glitch like that. Interesting. And by applying this value, you can like soften it. Yeah, so it kinda depends for the improvisation. Like before the revision, I wanted to. My goal was always to be able to do it with little preparation, not rely too much on something. Like I can't really like learn by heart a shader and do it again, because I will always do small mistake, and if you can't recover from that, you kinda screwed. So I wanted to be able to make something on the spot. But before the revision, I tried to do several, like the last stream I made like 4 shaders in 2 hours. The goal was to like get practice, but in the end I tried to find some interesting shaders to make like, if you have to think too much about what you do, you will lose a lot of time. So the first shader I did with the translucency, I was pretty much sure of what I did before doing it. Like in the 2 hours before, I was repeating for that. It's not like I didn't have the precise value, but I have a clear idea of the structure of what I'm making, like something with translucent, with like a box, a repeated box and cylinder connecting them. So yeah. For the second one, I wanted to... I had prepared something, but in the end I didn't want to make it because it wasn't that great. And when I saw how Evil was prepared, he did something super great in the first round. I thought it would not be good enough. Also, Evil do some very precise fractal things with like on the geometry side. I could not really compete. He make very great things. So what I wanted to do for the second round was to go very far from geometric things. So I tried to make the volumetric like effect, like if the sun was behind a cloudy sky or something like that. Just to have something very different from what Evil would do. I did not really know what he would do, but he often do the kind of fractal thing. And so just before the round, I was practicing a little bit, and I found this idea of a mountain and of the fractal thingy, like the line, the web thingy. Also I found it like an hour before the round, and so I knew about what I was making, but I tricked everything. And the last showdown, this one that you're seeing here there, it was a lot less prepared because I didn't know if I would go on the last round, so I didn't have anything prepared. And plus, I only had 2 hours between the 2 rounds to find something to do. So yeah, if you look at the video, there is all the rounds are on YouTube, and you can see that like for the building, I placed everything like by tweaking the values, so I don't really know what I want and how I want it. I just making something, but I still had an idea of the procedure, like using the tunnel thing. I knew I wanted to do that, and yeah, but even the colors, I knew that the yellow thing at the end of the tunnel would be pretty great. Yeah, what I did in the like 3 months before now, like since I started streaming, is to try, or even before that, I won the cookie demo party Shadow Showdown. That's kind of the start of everything, and in preparations for that, I also started to make like always the same kind of framework, using the same kind of variable and the same kind of structures, and having structures open enough to be able to change things very fast. Like here, I always use these structures. Like here, I use slightly different structures because I have a camera and a target, but I can start in the showdown. I start from, oh no, I directly use the targeting function, but I can start with like what I used on the other start, where I don't really have a target, and just go from there to here. Like I know how to do the FOB function. So yeah, like you have to memorize the normal function, and for a while I was doing a function for the normal, like something like that. But it takes time, and it doesn't really is useful because you always do it once at one point. So now I always do it like just on the spot. I just have to get that off variable, and you can compute the normal, so that you have to get it to know it by heart, and how to structure your code. Yeah. Like here I also found like function, really simple function to make ambient occlusion. Like that, just the idea really simple is just you take the value of the distance field at an offset along the normal divided by that offset and clump in between 0 and 1, and that gives you like an approximation of an ambient occlusion, and you can do it with several distance. Here I do it with 1,3 and with 1, and while by mixing that you can have like pretty much a good ambient occlusion. So yeah, I would advise to make really simple setups and try to build from there. Here I pretty much just use like the box function, the sphere function, the cylinder function, and just with that you can do very interesting things. One thing that is important is to get the repetition function. That can be a bit annoying to learn. Sometimes some people use like mod function, but me, I found it easier to use the frag function. Yeah. So yeah, if you have any question, let me know. I will just like show you a little bit of my demo, but I will not really comment it tonight because I start to get tired a little bit. So here is my demo. So if you haven't saw my demo, it's a 4K demo that I put. It's an intro. I put it in at revision, and it got third place. Really great for me because it was made it in like 2 days. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So I used the Leviathan framework from Nobi. You can find it on GitHub. So it's a very small framework for doing 4Ks. You have a Forklang. You can use Forklang for the music, and it basically just will open a fragment shader and display it. So it's the same kind of things that you make in a shader showdown, but embedded in a 4K. So if your shader is simple enough, it will get under the 4K. Yeah, there is not much to say about that. You can have a post effect, so a second pass that can use the first pass to make like a depth of field, but I did not use it because I didn't have enough space, so I prefer to remove post effect. The nice thing is that the framework uses shader minifier. It's a tool to transform your shader into a smaller version. So it will like use like every function or variable name. It will be replaced with a small value, like with 1 or 2 characters. So if you use that, you don't really have to write something absurd. You can just write something like pretty natural, and yeah, it should work. Yeah, it's GLSL minification, and yeah, it worked really well. Sometimes you can have like small error, like if you can have trouble with define sometimes. Also, if you like, here I have fractal function. I don't use them, but I add them at some point. And if you have two functions that just differed by the type that you send them, that's totally valid in GLSL. But the shader minifier will transfer them by a different name, and so it will not work. There is small things like that you have to find out sometimes the hard way, but yeah. So I will show the demo a little bit, and yeah, let's see the demo. Is it working? I don't think it's picking up. Shoot. Okay. Let's start again. Sorry. Oh, it's not very smooth, is it? Yeah. It's a bit too slow when OBS is capturing it. Maybe I could find my... I made a recording, and maybe... Yeah, that will be better. Yeah, it's a bit similar to the last shader showdown. I didn't have really much idea, so I tried to make something like that. So it's a bit of the same stuff. It's like fractal repetition with a building made of cylinder and boxes. I added some volumetric things that go from the ground, and I can change on what space is projected the city. So here at first was a plane, and here it's a cylinder, a tunnel. Also the part that is repeated by the fractal thing, I can change it. Here that's what I do, like here there is a weird like tree things or the cylinder. I have a change from night for day to night also with and here I project it on a sphere. Penrose styling, maybe. Like here there is like structures that kinda resemble it. So at some point I will put the demo on Shadowtoy. I just need to find a place for the music. It's my friend and colleague Valden that made the music. It was really nice of him because he made it in like 3 hours. So thanks to him. And yeah, I will put it on Shadowtoy in a few days, I think. The nice thing with using Leviathan framework is that as it's just a shader, you can port it to Shadowtoy pretty easily. I had to put some like to compress things, but yeah, not that much. Yeah, I'm making like weird scene depending on the scene. I will like tweak the motion a little bit.